Okay, so why do most of us have a bad memory? The fact actually is most of us don't. Most of us have pretty good memories, but we just don't have practice in using it most efficiently. Okay. How our memory works. Okay, so we pay attention and things go into our short-term memory in a nutshell. Okay, rehearsal and association. As we rehearse and we go over and associate the things we're learning, that's how we transfer stuff that we learn from our short-term memory to our long-term memory. And then the issue is recalling the associations, retrieval from the long-term memory out of our mouths or out onto tests. That's typically, in a nutshell, how our memory works. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today are some memory tips that will help you. So that mainly I'm talking about in the courses that you're taking and are going to take, but the issue really is how do we remember things in order to get that out on a test? Okay, so one of the ways is that we recite the material out loud. When we take the material that we are going over and we read it out loud or we go over it out loud, that stores information not only in our visual memory, that which we're reading, but also in our auditory memory inside the brain. If you question this, think about this. When you are given a phone number, say from somebody else, or a 5-digit code or whatever to add a class, do you ever find yourself saying that number out loud? So then when it comes to typing it in something or telling somebody else what it is, we are using our auditory memory in order to pull that information out. That is ways, little tips that we've learned ourselves, and we may not even be aware of it on how we learn. So, recite material out loud. Secondly, test and retest yourself over and over. This is the old school reciting things over and over and again until it sticks into our mind. It's over-learning the material. It's kind of like going into a job interview. You want to go over and over and over the questions that you're going to be asked and answer them over and over and again so that you've overlearned the material so well that it just comes naturally. Okay? Thirdly is to create associations. Okay? Connect what you've been wanting to remember with what you already know. And our textbook talks quite a bit about that. I want to make sure that you understand how to do that. So if you're uncertain, be sure to take a look. Okay? Next. I can move the mouse here. Create mental or actual pictures. So sometimes if you're using flashback cards or you're reading material, we need to think about how we can actually see what we're learning take place in real time. Okay? And use the information before you lose it. Okay? So what I'm saying there is if you learn a new technique or a new skill, you not only need to learn it, but you need to put it into practice if it is to stick for you. And applying concepts and theories to application. A lot of what you're going to learn in school are a lot of different theories, okay, and different concepts. But you have to think about how does this play out in the real world. And by being able to do that, you're going to be able to build a true application of the knowledge that you have to ways that are going to stick more because you get to actually see how it applies in real life. Rely on repetition, there it is again, to make the information stick. When it comes to memorization, nothing works better than that good old-fashioned repetition. I just talked about that a minute ago. Okay, so it's going over and over those cards that you may have made, the material that you're studying. Eventually that information is going to stick. The experts say that repeating information 5 to 7 times is usually good enough to form a foundation for that long-term memory storage or learning. If the material is difficult or you have a lot to cover, increase the number of repetitions until you get it down pat. Again, we talked about this last week, but I'm going to mention it again here just briefly. Learn in small pieces of information, small amounts of time, okay? Break the information you need to know into smaller units to make sense to you. It's a little bit different. Basically, what we're saying here is you may have a large concept that you need to learn into a class. I want you to break the concept into smaller pieces and learn the individual pieces and then put them all together. That is oftentimes a way to help you to keep that, or to really gain understanding and then also to be able to memorize that information. Using acronyms, okay, is a word that can be pronounced that is made by using the first letter of each of the other words. For an example, the names of the 5 Great Lakes in the U.S. form the acronym HOMES. Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, and Superior. They're helpful, especially in a lot of science classes where you have a lot of names that you have to remember for particular issues at hand. Okay, organization. Have everything you need when you go to class, okay? Don't be coming in looking around trying to get what you need. Make sure that you have everything you need when you sit down to study. Same thing. Get up and get it all before you sit down so that everything's there and you can start using it. And have a good filing system of all the information that you gain. Use 3-ring binders if you take notes, so then if you miss a class, you can get notes from somebody else, 3-hole punch it, and put it in the order that the lecture notes are to be in. Okay. We have already talked about organizing our time, but I want you to also remember to eliminate unnecessary clutter when you study. Okay. Organize what you need to study based on the priority of importance. Again, we tend to gravitate towards the subjects that we like, not the ones that are most important or the ones that we have the most struggle with, which are really the ones that we should be studying first. Make sure that you do that and have important numbers and emails on hand so that you can contact your classmates or instructor with questions that you have. Okay, spend money on the things that you need for school. You know, the stapler, the 3-hole punch, the right pens and highlighters and sticky notes, all that stuff. I know it costs money, but those are the tools for the trade of doing well in your education. And have a place for everything in your school. Don't have your book in the bottom of your drawer and your notepad in the back of your trunk of your car. Have a place that you keep all of your educational needs, okay? And have your place for studying. Again, I've repeated that already, but have a place that you study. That is so important and will so much help you when you do study. Thank you.